I never imagined that a seemingly routine business trip would thrust me into a nightmare beyond comprehension. It all began when I checked into the Midnight Hotel, a quaint establishment nestled within the heart of a small, remote town. Little did I know, the innocuous facade of this hotel belied the sinister secrets lurking within its walls. Upon my arrival, I was greeted by the hotel manager, a stoic man with a demeanor that sent shivers down my spine. His eyes, obscured beneath heavy brows, seemed to bore into my very soul as he handed me the key to my room. Ignoring the uneasy feeling gnawing at the pit of my stomach, I thanked him and made my way to the elevator. As the doors slid shut behind me, a sense of foreboding washed over me like a wave. The elevator ascended slowly, each floor passing by in agonizing silence. When the doors finally opened, I found myself on the third floor, the dimly lit corridor stretching out before me like a yawning abyss. I made my way to room 333, my home for the next 3 nights. As I unlocked the door and stepped inside, a chill swept through the air, causing me to shiver involuntarily. Brushing off my apprehension, I unpacked my belongings and settled in for the night. That first night passed without incident, but as the hours stretched on, I found myself plagued by unsettling dreams. Visions of shadowy figures lurking in the darkness haunted my sleep, their whispered voices echoing in the recesses of my mind. When I awoke the next morning, I dismissed the dreams as mere figments of my imagination and went about my day as planned. However, as night fell once more, I couldn't shake the feeling of unease that lingered in the air like a thick fog. As I lay in bed, tossing and turning restlessly, a sudden noise jolted me awake. It sounded like footsteps echoing down the hallway, slow and deliberate. I sat up in bed, straining my ears to listen, but the sound had ceased as abruptly as it had begun. Brushing it off as the product of an overactive imagination, I attempted to return to sleep. But just as I began to drift off, a blood-curdling scream pierced the silence, causing my heart to race with fear. I leaped out of bed and flung open the door, only to find the hallway empty, bathed in darkness. Unable to shake the feeling of dread that gripped me, I resolved to investigate the source of the scream. I ventured down the corridor, the floorboards creaking beneath my feet with each step. As I reached the end of the hallway, I noticed a faint light emanating from beneath the door of room 333. With trembling hands, I reached for the doorknob and slowly pushed the door open. What I saw inside will haunt me until the end of my days. The room was bathed in an eerie glow, the air thick with the scent of decay. And there, standing in the center of the room, was a figure cloaked in darkness, its eyes burning with a malevolent intensity. I tried to scream, but no sound escaped my lips as the figure advanced towards me, its movements slow and deliberate. In that moment, I knew that I was face to face with something beyond human comprehension, something ancient and evil. With a surge of adrenaline, I turned and fled, the echoes of my footsteps mingling with the unearthly screams that filled the air. I didn't stop running until I reached the lobby, where I collapsed in a heap, gasping for breath. The hotel manager found me there, his expression unreadable as he helped me to my feet. Without a word, he led me back to my room and locked the door behind me, leaving me alone with my terror. For the rest of the night, I huddled in the corner of my room, praying for the first light of dawn to banish the darkness that threatened to consume me. And when morning finally came, I gathered my belongings and fled the Midnight Hotel, vowing never to return. But even now, as I sit safe and sound in the comfort of my own home, I can't shake the feeling that the darkness of the Midnight Hotel still lingers, waiting to claim its next victim. And I pray that whoever dares to cross its threshold will heed my warning and turn back before it's too late. As a night shift housekeeper at the Moonlight Inn, I thought I was prepared for anything the job could throw at me. But nothing could have prepared me for the horrors that lurked within the walls of that cursed hotel. It was a typical night, the moon casting an eerie glow over the empty corridors as I made my rounds with my cleaning cart in tow. The silence was palpable, broken only by the occasional creak of the floorboards beneath my feet. As I reached the end of the hallway on the third floor, a chill ran down my spine, and a sense of unease settled over me like a heavy blanket. Ignoring the feeling of dread gnawing at the pit of my stomach, I pushed open the door to room 307 and stepped inside. The room was shrouded in darkness, the only light coming from the dim glow of the moon filtering through the curtains. I flicked on the lights and got to work, changing the linens and tidying up the space with practiced efficiency. But as I worked, I couldn't shake the feeling of being watched, as if unseen eyes were boring into the back of my skull. Every time I glanced over my shoulder, I half expected to see something lurking in the shadows, waiting to pounce. With a shiver, I forced myself to focus on the task at hand, determined to finish my shift and get out of there as quickly as possible. But fate had other plans for me that night. As I made my way to the next room, a sudden gust of wind slammed the door shut behind me, the sound echoing through the empty hallway like a gunshot. My heart pounding, I reached for the doorknob, only to find it locked tight, as if by some unseen force. Panic rising within me, I pounded on the door, calling out for help, but my cries went unanswered. With no other choice, I turned and fled down the hallway, my footsteps echoing in the silence. But no matter how fast I ran, the hallway seemed to stretch on endlessly, the doors looming like dark sentinels on either side. And with each passing moment, the feeling of dread grew stronger, until it felt as if the very air around me was suffocating. Just when I thought I couldn't take it anymore, I stumbled upon a door that stood slightly ajar, a faint light spilling out from within. With a desperate hope rising within me, I pushed open the door and stepped inside. What I saw there will haunt me for the rest of my days. The room was bathed in an unearthly glow, the air thick with the stench of decay, and there, standing in the center of the room, was a figure cloaked in shadow, its eyes glowing with a malevolent light. I tried to scream, but no sound escaped my lips as the figure advanced towards me, its movements slow and deliberate. I stumbled backwards, my heart pounding in my chest, as the figure reached out a hand towards me. And then, just as suddenly as it had appeared, the figure vanished into thin air, leaving me alone in the darkness. With trembling hands, I reached for the doorknob and flung the door open, desperate to escape the nightmare that had consumed me. I raced down the hallway, my footsteps echoing in the silence, until I finally reached the lobby, where I collapsed in a heap, gasping for breath. The night manager found me there, his expression unreadable as he helped me to my feet. Without a word, he led me back to my cart and instructed me to finish my rounds before the end of my shift. But as I made my way back to the third floor, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched, that the shadows themselves were alive with malevolent intent. And as I pushed open the door to room 307, I knew that I would never be the same again. My name is Jack, and I never believed in ghosts or the supernatural until that fateful night at the Grand Manor Hotel. It was supposed to be a relaxing getaway, a chance to escape the hustle and bustle of city life and unwind in the lap of luxury. But little did I know, the shadows lurking within the walls of that grand old hotel had other plans for me. As I checked into the Grand Manor, I was struck by the opulence of the lobby, the marble floors gleaming under the soft glow of chandeliers. The receptionist greeted me with a warm smile and handed me the key to room 666, assuring me that it was one of their finest accommodations. Despite the slight unease that prickled at the back of my mind, I brushed it off as nothing more than pre-travel jitters and made my way to my room. But as I stepped inside, a chill swept through the air, causing me to shiver involuntarily. The room was dimly lit, the shadows dancing ominously across the walls. Ignoring the feeling of unease that gnawed at the pit of my stomach, I unpacked my belongings and settled in for the night, eager to put the long day of travel behind me. But as the night wore on, I found it difficult to shake the feeling of being watched. Every creak of the floorboards, every rustle of the curtains sent shivers down my spine, and I couldn't shake the feeling that there was something sinister lurking just beyond the edge of my vision. As I lay in bed, tossing and turning restlessly, a soft whisper echoed through the darkness, sending a chill down my spine. At first, I tried to convince myself that it was just my imagination, that the stress of the day was playing tricks on my mind. But as the whispers grew louder, more insistent, I knew that there was something else at play. I sat up in bed, straining to listen, my heart pounding in my chest. The whispers seemed to be coming from all around me, their voices indistinct yet filled with a sense of urgency that sent a shiver down my spine. With trembling hands, I reached for the lamp on the bedside table and flicked it on, illuminating the room in a soft golden glow. But as the light flooded the space, the whispers ceased as abruptly as they had begun, leaving me alone in the silence once more. Determined to prove to myself that I was just being paranoid, I got out of bed and began to investigate the room, searching for any sign of the source of the whispers. But try as I might, I found nothing out of the ordinary, no hidden speakers or secret passages that could explain the mysterious voices. Frustrated and unnerved, I returned to bed, hoping that sleep would offer me some respite from the growing sense of unease that plagued me. But just as I began to drift off, a sudden chill swept through the air, and the whispers returned with a vengeance. This time, they were louder, more urgent, their words sending a cold sweat breaking out across my brow. And as I listened, a sense of dread washed over me, for I knew that whatever was speaking to me was not of this world. With a surge of adrenaline, I leaped out of bed and made a dash for the door, my heart pounding in my chest. But as I reached for the handle, a cold hand clamped down on my shoulder, sending a jolt of terror coursing through my veins. I turned around to find myself face to face with a shadowy figure, its eyes burning with an otherworldly light. And as it spoke, its voice echoed through the darkness like a chorus of the damned, filling me with a terror unlike anything I had ever known. In that moment, I knew that I was in the presence of something ancient and malevolent, something that had no intention of letting me leave this room alive. With a scream of terror, I broke free from its grasp and fled into the hallway, the echoes of its laughter following me into the night. As I stumbled down the corridor, my heart pounding in my chest, I knew that I would never forget the horrors that I had witnessed within the walls of room 666. And as I reached the safety of the lobby, I vowed never to return to the Grand Manor Hotel again, lest I come face to face with the shadows that lurked within its depths once more.